There is something in us that wants to fix other people. You feel it when you're driving and somebody cuts you off. You feel it when you scroll and you see somebody's take on social media, and you know it's just wrong. And you have felt it in conversations where you've thought, if they would just listen to me, then I could fix this for them. We're good at spotting specks. We're good at spotting the tiny things, the little flaws, the small mistakes in other people's lives. And Jesus says, yeah, but what about the log? Not the speck, the log, not the dust particle, the big wooden plank. And when Jesus says that, it's supposed to sound humorous. That's Jesus being funny. A person walking around with a big 2x4 sticking out of their eye, trying to do eye surgery on someone else. It's really got that energy of like, hold still, I've got this. And everybody else around them is looking at that person and saying, you don't got this. Okay? And so Jesus starts with this line. He says, the way you treat people is the way it comes back to you. The measure you use is the measure that you will be measured by. Okay? In that world, people knew about measures. Jesus talks about this elsewhere. You know, at the market, you would scoop grain into a container, and some sellers would take it and shake the grain down and pack it down and to make sure that it was full. And others would, they gave you just enough or maybe a little less. And everyone knew who was generous and who was not. So Jesus is saying, that's how life works. If you walk around the world tight-fisted, quick to judge, eager to point out flaws, that same tightness tends to find you. But if you walk through the world with mercy, giving space, with a looseness that says, I know I'm not perfect either, that opens something, not just in others, but in ourselves. And there's something else going on here in this passage too. And in our brains are actually wired to notice what is wrong. The name for that is negativity bias. It means that our brains are constantly scanning for problems, for threats, for what might be a little off. And this was important for our ancestors. This helped them survive. But it also means that we are very naturally good at spotting specks, at noticing tone or noticing the mistakes or what feels a little off, what feels a little wrong. But here's the catch. The same brain that is so sharp at noticing flaws out there is still not very good at seeing what's going on in here. Okay? We miss things in ourselves. And it's not because those things are small, but it's just because we're very close to ourselves. And Jesus says, why do you notice the tiny speck in your friend's eye, but you miss the big log in your own eye? This is not pretending that there are no specks. There are specks. There are people that hurt each other and people that make bad choices. And those things do matter. But Jesus is talking about order. He says, first the log, then the speck. Because we tend to tell two different stories. The name for that is, in psychology, is the fundamental attribution error. Okay? When someone else messes up, we say, that's just who they are. That's just who they are. They're careless. They're difficult. But when we mess up, what do we say? Oh, I was tired. I had a long day. I really needed something to eat. And I didn't mean that. It's the same action, different story. We give ourselves context. We give other people labels. Okay? And Jesus steps right into that and he says, start with your own eye. So why is the log so hard to see? Well, part of the reason the log is so hard to see is because something in us is trying to protect us. We carry a picture of who we are around, and when something threatens that picture of who we are in our mind, we want to explain it away. We want to soften it. We want to move past it quickly. So what happens is the log just stays in place. And it's not because the log is small, but because noticing the log is uncomfortable. So seeing clearly takes something from us. We have to slow down. I'll repeat that. We have to slow down. It takes honesty from ourselves. It takes the kind of courage that says, I want to know the truth more than I want comfort. Jesus says, first the log in your own eye. And when Jesus says this, he says this not so that you feel ashamed about yourself, but so that you can see. Because the goal is not blindness, the goal is clarity. And something changes when you begin to see your own log. You actually become a softer person. You become more patient. You become less interested in winning and more interested in understanding. You actually become a more curious person when you do the work in yourself. And you realize that you're not standing above people, you're actually standing with them. And all of us are trying to see. All of us are a little blurry, and all of us need grace. And from that place, you can actually help. And you're going to help not as the expert, you're going to help not as the judge, but as someone who knows what it feels like to have something in your own eye. And here's the hopeful part. When you choose to pause instead of judge, when you choose to understand instead of label, something in you begins to change. You become a different kind of person. You become the kind of person who is able to see other people more clearly. You're able to hold complexity. You're able to respond with compassion. You become the good person, the good tree that Jesus made you to be, and you bear good fruit. You become a good person, and good things naturally flow out of you because you've done the work of removing the log from your own eye. And that's not easy, but it gets easier over time. And so this is not about following the rule. It's about becoming a different kind of person. It's about becoming a person who sees differently. It's about becoming a person that sees differently, who sees other people differently because you see differently and you love differently. And then Jesus says something really kind of strange but important at the end of this passage. He says, now don't throw your pearls to pigs. Now, a pearl is something precious, okay? It forms slowly. In fact, it comes from irritation that turns into beauty. A pearl is like wisdom. It's like truth, and it's like something sacred that is grown within you. And Jesus says, not everyone will know what to do with that. Some people are not ready. Some people will dismiss it. Some people will crush it. And if you keep offering your deepest, most sacred things to people who only know how to step on them, you're going to get hurt. And that is not about judging other people as bad. It's not. It's about wisdom. It's about knowing when to speak and how to speak. And it's also about knowing when to be quiet and knowing when to share and when to hold something close. So what is Jesus inviting us to in this passage? He's inviting us to a different kind of life, a life where we pay attention to our own logs. We own the things in our own life, and we hold others with a gentleness. We speak truth at the appropriate times when it's not going to get trampled on, and we do it without arrogance. We share what is sacred with wisdom. It's a different way of being human because the world runs on judgments. The world runs on quick opinions, fast reactions, always deciding who's right and who's wrong. But Jesus offers something slower, deeper, more honest, a way of living that says, I will start with my own heart. I will let grace do work in me first. And then maybe I can be part of healing someone else. When you do the work in yourself first, you actually become the kind of person who can naturally do those things. So maybe the question is not who has a speck. We could answer that all day. Maybe the question is, what is in your eye? Where am I not seeing clearly? Where am I quick to judge? Where do I need grace myself? Because when that log starts to come out, you begin to see differently. And when you see differently, you actually become the type of person who can love differently. And that changes everything. If you would, take a moment, let your body settle, let your breath slow down. If you would, close your eyes and rest them for a moment. Take a breath in and breathe out. Let's do that one more time. Breathe in and breathe out. Now, gently bring your mind to someone who you've been judging. We all have someone. Okay? There's no need to fix it. There's no need to analyze it in this moment. I just want you to notice. Notice that person. Notice what rises in you. Notice the tightness. Notice the story that you've been telling. Now I want you to hear these words. The measure you use is the measure you receive. And gently, without forcing anything, I want you to loosen your grip. Breathe. Now shift the attention inward. Where is there something in my own eye? Not with shame. Don't notice it with harshness. Just notice it with honesty. Where is a place that you've been avoiding? And where is the place where you need grace? Let yourself see it. Just a little. And hear this. You're not alone in this. You are held in mercy. Breathe in. Breathe out. Now imagine that same mercy resting on the person you were judging. That same grace, that same patience. No one above, no one below, just people learning to see. Breathe. And now, in the quiet, I want you to offer this simple prayer. God, help me to see clearly. Help me to begin with my own heart. Soften what has grown hard in me. Teach me to hold others with grace. And guide me in knowing when to speak and when to be still. Breathe in, breathe out, and carry this with you. You do not need to see everything at once. Just the next step. Just a little more light. Amen.